Hello everyone. So today in this video we'll talk about lists in Python. So this is the overview about what we'll be discussing. First we'll be talking about what collections is. Then we'll discuss about list and various operations in it and the methods. So let us begin. So firstly, what is collections in Python? Collection, also known as arrays. So there are four collection data types in Python. So one is list, the other is tuple, we have set and dictionary. So we can discuss about the rest in the upcoming videos, but today we're going to talk about list. So what is list? List is used to store multiple values in a single variable, and it is created using square bracket. So like you can see in this example, this list contains three items. All of them are string: apple, banana and cherry. So it is declared using square brackets, and every item is separated using a comma. So all of this is stored in just one single variable, which in this case is my list. Now what are list items? So okay, firstly, list items are ordered, changeable and allow duplicate values. So list items are the one which are separated by comma, which I just said, and they are ordered. They can be changed also. That means you can if you want to change any of this value on the same position, you can change it, and you can also store duplicate values. List items are indexed starting with 0, which means the first list item will have the index number 0. Then we have 1 and 2 and so on. Similarly, if you want to access the first element, you will have to use the index 0. Similarly, for the last element, you will use the length of the list minus 1. In this case, the length of the list is 3. So 3 minus 1 is 2. So to access cherry from this list, you will have to use the index 2. So new items are placed at the end of the list by default, and list items can be of any data type. So like you can see in this example, there are three lists which have been declared. The first one is of string data type, second one is of number, and third one is boolean. We have true false values. And in addition to all these, you can also have a list with multiple data types in it. Like this example over here, you have ABC, which is string, then 34, which is number, true, which is a boolean, again 40, a number, and male, which is a string. So list can have a single data type as well as multiple data types in it. So list length and type. So to get the list length, it is very simple command. You use len, and then in bracket you put the variable name in which the list is stored. Similarly, for type, you just use the function type, and in the bracket you'll put the variable. Now to access list items, like I mentioned previously, it is indexed from 0. So if I'm printing, let's say the variable is this list where these three values are stored. So if I want to access banana, its index is 1. So I'll have to write this list square bracket 1. So starting with apple, apple is 0, banana is 1 and cherry is 2. So this will print banana. Now there is also negative indexing possible. So you have to be careful about this because negative indexing will start from -1. Like positive one starts from 0, this will not start from -0, it starts from -1, which means the last element, which is cherry in this case, will have the index -1 in terms of negative indexing. Similarly, banana will have -2 and apple will have -3. So you have to be careful about that and not getting confused between negative and positive indexing. So range of indexes. Now just like you can access a single element of a list by putting one single number, you can also access a range, which means multiple values inside the list. So for example, if you put something like 2:5 in bracket, then you will get all the elements in the list starting from index 2 till index 5. The index 5 is not included, which means over here apple is 0, banana is 1, so 2 is cherry, 3 is orange, 4 is kiwi. So cherry, orange and kiwi will be printed. Melon is index number 5, it will not be included because this last index is not included. So 2, 3 and 4 index will be printed, in this case cherry, orange and kiwi. Similarly, if you leave the first value blank, like you can see in this image over here, so if the first value or the start value is blank, then the list will be printed from the first value inside the list, that is the 0th index, till the 4th one in this case. So apple, banana and cherry will be printed, and orange 0, 1, 2, 3. So kiwi is index 4, which will not be included. Now similarly, if you start with a number and leave the second end number as blank, then you will print from this index till the end of the list. So index number 2 is cherry, so you will print, this command will print cherry, orange, kiwi, melon and mango. So similarly, you can also perform this command with negative indexing. You just have to make sure that the start number is always smaller than the end number. In this case, -4 is smaller than -1, so it will give us a proper output. If you interchange it, if the start number is bigger, then you will get an empty output. So you have to make sure you do that. So again, in this it will start from -4, -1, 2, 3 and 4. So it will start printing from orange, kiwi and melon. Again, -1, which is mango, is not included. So we will see this in coding right now, so that it will be more clear to you, and we'll see all the functions which we previously discussed as well. So let us see the code for it. First, I'll define two lists. Let's say L1 will have values like A, B, C and D, and then we can also take L2 with different data types. Maybe let's say one will be string data type, let's say ABC, then we'll have a number, let's say 12, and we'll also keep a boolean value, and then maybe one more, let's say number, let's say 50. So L1 and L2. Now to get the length of the list, we can just print length of L1. So this will give you 4 as it is correct, and if I add one more to it, this time it will give 5. Similarly for length of L2, which will be 4, so that's correct again. And for type of the list, now let's see both the list types. Print type L1 and we'll do L2. So the first one is pretty easy. It will show, okay, both are actually list. So if you see the type of individual elements, you will get string, number, boolean and all. But if you're directly seeing the type, because it is defined into square brackets, both of them are list. So you might be thinking that even though all are string, but this as a whole is a list, that's why the type of L1 variable is list, and so is L2 variable. But if you're trying to access individual elements and checking their type, then it will be as per what the element is. In this case, string, over here 12 would be number, and so on. So that was type. Now if you want to check if something is present in the list, let's say if I want to check if A is present, if A in L1, print the letter A is present in the list. So the letter A is present in the list. That is because we have A right here. But if I put something like A in L2, so it will not print anything because A is not present. Even though if you see A is over here, but it checks the complete list element. It will check the complete item. So over here it is ABC, and ABC and A are not same. So when it is searching for A, the whole element should be A and there shouldn't be anything additional, not even a number or any other string. So only then this condition will be satisfied. If not, the else part will be executed. In this case, we just have one print statement which is executed if this condition is true. So that's why we have the blank output. Now we can try replacing a value in the list. Let's say L1 of 0 equals to apple. Now I'll write print L1. So earlier on the first index we had the letter A, now it has been changed to apple. So the letter A has been overwritten, it has not been pushed ahead, it has directly been overwritten, and the length of the list is still the same. So you can change the elements of a list by using the specific index number, and you can also change multiple elements. Let's say L1 of 1, 2, 3. So we can equals to, let's say, item 2 and item 3. Then we can do print L1. So the second and the third, which is the index 1 and index 2, so these have been changed. Earlier it was B and C, now it has been changed to item 2 and item 3. Now what happens, so again over here the third index is not involved, because like I mentioned during the presentation, it goes from index 1 and till index 3. Index 3 is not involved. So what happens now if you give a different length over here and a different size of the list over here? Let's say if I just write 1, 2, 2, and if I write test 1 comma test 2. So as per this left hand side of our command, there is only one value, which is index 1, because index 2 is not included. But on the right side we are giving two values. So in that case what happens is the length of the list will be changed. So if I print the list, you will get to know. So apple as it is, because nothing is being changed in index 0, starting from index 1 which was earlier item 2 has been changed to test 1. Now index number 2, this is excluded. That is why test 2 will be inserted inside the list and it will not overwrite any other element. So item 3, which was on index 2, is there in the list, but its index has been shifted. It has been added 1 to it because we inserted a new element in between. So when the size or the length is not same on left and right hand side, then this is what happens. So now this can be in opposite case also, where you, let's say you have 1, 2, 3. So over here the size is 2 or the length is 2, but if you're passing only one element, then what happens? So when I print it, it will insert this element on the first index 1, and on index 2 it will insert blank. Basically it will remove it, not exactly even insert blank. So the size of the list will change. This time it will decrease. So in the earlier case it increased, and this time it is decreasing because we are inserting only one element in place of 2. So that is why the size of the list has decreased. So we'll go back to the presentation. So how to check if an item exists? We already saw that through the code, where we use the in keyword to check if an item is existing in the list, where you write if condition, if let's say apple in this list, then print. So in this case it will be printed because apple is present. That's what we saw with the code. And we also saw this where we change list items. So when we change a single item, it is pretty easy. You just write the index and you write the required change, where in this case it is mango. And in other case, let's say if you are changing multiple elements, so you write the index range and then you write the list which will be inserted in that range. So we also saw a bit of a unique case where the size on the left and right are not same. So in this case also we also saw its counterpart where the left side is bigger and the right side size is smaller. So in this case the length of the list will change. So it changes when the number of items inserted does not match the number of items replaced. So we also just saw this in the code. So moving on, now how do we insert new items? So to insert new items in the list at a specific position, you can use the insert function. So when you're using the insert function, naturally it should require minimum of 2 parameters because you are inserting at a specific position, so you'll have to pass that position. In this case we are passing 2, and the item which you want to insert. So in this case it is watermelon. So watermelon will be inserted at index 2, so which will be right after banana. So apple, banana, and then watermelon and cherry. That is how this list will be shown. Now we also have another function if you just want to add it to the list at the end. So by default this append function will add the item at the end of the list. So when I use append, orange will be added right after cherry. Now to remove items, you can simply use the remove function if you know what the item name is. So in this case we know what the item is, what is present in that index, or what is present uh, inside the list which you want to remove exactly. It can be a number, a boolean value, or a string. So it will find banana and it will remove it. Then there is another option where we know the index. So just using the index, if we want to remove the value stored on that index, we can use the pop function and then write index in the bracket. And similarly, just like the pop function, you can also use delete or del command. But in del command, you will have to again access the element using the index. So del, then the variable in which the list is stored, and the index which you want to delete. So that is how you can remove items. Now to clear the list. So if you want to clear the list completely, you can use the clear function. Now you have to note that this list will not be deleted, it will only be empty. So that means that when you're trying to print the list even after clearing, you will not get an error. You will get a blank output because the list is empty, but the variable will still be there. So the list remains, but it has no content. So that is what clearing of list is. So we'll see all of this in code, including looping through list. So if you want to loop through a list, you can just write a for loop. For x, you can write any variable over here in this list. So the variable in which your list is stored, you have to write that, and then you can perform any function. So another example of this is if you are taking the value of I equals to 0. Okay, so there is another example, but this time we are using while loop. So there is for loop and there is while loop. So in while loop, it will check the condition which you are setting. So in this for loop, we directly use the keyword in and it was looping through the list. But in this, we have to set our own condition. It can be anything. In this case, we have set while I is less than length of the list. So I is originally 0 and we are updating the value of I and adding 1 to it with every iteration. So both the first and the second example will print the same thing, which is the values in the list. So now before we go to sorting the list, we'll try all of this in code, whatever we have discussed so far. So first we'll see how we insert an item. So let's say L1 dot insert. Now we have to insert at a specific position. So let's say I want to insert at the very first position, then I'll write 0, comma, whatever I want to insert. Let's say I want to insert a number this time, 15. So, okay, it has been inserted, but I also want to see it. So let's say print L1. So like you can see, it has been inserted twice actually. That is because I ran this function twice. If I run it again 15 will be inserted. So this time it will print thrice. So how many ever times you run it, at those many times it will insert new element 15 at index 0. So since I ran it thrice already, now you see 15 is inserted 3 times. Now similarly, if I want to insert something at index 1, let's say 16, so this time you will have 16 over here. So that is how you insert at a specific position. Now if you just want to insert at the end, you can just write L1 dot append and let's say last item. I'll also print L1. So the list as it is, and in the end you have a new list item which is last item which I just appended. Now how do you remove? We saw it, we can use 3 options we have. We can use the remove function, the pop and the delete keyword. So let us see remove. Let's say L1 dot remove 15. Now we have multiple occurrences of 15 in this. So when we put L1 dot remove 15, it will remove only the first occurrence. So the first occurrence is right here at index 0. See, all the other occurrences are there as it is. So it found 15 right at the first, it deleted it and it exited. That's all. So the rest of the list is as it is. If I run this again, this time this 15 will be deleted. So I'll run this again. That 15 was deleted. Now there's just 115 left. So if I run it again, that 15 will also be removed. So it has been removed and now there is no 15. That is why it is giving an error. So you have to make sure whatever you're trying to remove is existing in that list. Let's say I want to remove test. So it was existing, that's why there is no error now. So this was one way of removing an element. The other was pop. So when you know the index, let's say I want to remove index number 1, which is apple in this case, and then I'll also print the list. So the list will be printed without index, old index 1 which was apple. The new index 1 is now item 3. And then the third way where you can delete it, delete L1, let's say 0, 2, 3, 4. So which is the last item in this case, and then I will print L1. So this last item has been removed because we use the delete function. So it is pretty simple, and both delete and pop are similar, just the syntax is different. Now when we clear the list, L1 dot clear and print L1. So the list is cleared, but the variable is already having a list in it stored, but it is an empty list. That's why we have only square brackets printed. So since square brackets are used for lists. Now we have to see another thing, that is looping through a list. So for let's say y in L2, I think we have another list L2. Yes, we have L2 list over here. First we'll print y and then c. So whatever was there in L2 ABC, we had 12, we had true and 50, that is being printed. Similarly, if you want to see the type of each item, you can do that as well. You will just have to change your syntax a bit and write type of y. So now you'll get string, integer, boolean and integer. So that is how you loop through a list, and you can also loop through using while condition. Let's see. First I'll declare a variable, let's say I equals to 0, while I is less than length of L2. Print L2 of I, and I equals to I plus 1. So that will print all the elements in the list. So this works for lists of any length because we are finding the length using a function which we have already discussed, and then we are looping through the list till this 0 doesn't increase one by one till the length of the list. So that is how you can also access the list apart from the for loop. So now let us go back to our presentation. So sorting a list. So list objects have a sort method which will by default sort the list alphanumerically in ascending manner, and to sort in descending we can just use the keyword argument reverse equals to true. So in this example you see this list dot sort and reverse equals to true. That's why it will be sorted in descending order. And yes, so also the default sort method is case sensitive, which means the uppercase and the lowercase, if you change it, it will affect the sorting or it will affect the positions of those elements. So it results in all the capital letters being sorted before lowercase letters because it is case sensitive. But if you do not want it to be case sensitive, you can use key equals to str.lower. So you can use this keyword and it will be sorted just according to the letters and not according to the cases. Now to reverse the list, we can reverse the order of the list using the reverse function. It is pretty simple. You just write the list variable and then dot reverse. To join two lists, so you have three options again if you want to join two lists. First is pretty simple. By using the plus operator, you can simply write, let's say, list3 or l3 or any new variable equals to list1 plus list2 and it will be joined and stored in list3, of course. Then the other method is using extend function. So list1 dot extend list2 will extend list1 and will add list2 to it. So in the first way we are storing it in a new variable. In this second way it is stored in the first list which we are writing over here. Now there is a third way where you will loop into the list and then you will append each and every element. So we just saw what append is and how it works. Now you can also use this to join two lists, because if you loop through the second list and if you just append each element to the first list, it will automatically join the second list to the first list. So this is how you can join two lists. And then the list methods. So the list methods include append, which we've already seen. It's used to add one or more elements at the end of the list. Then we have insert, which inserts at a specific index. We have extend, used to join two lists. We have remove to remove an item, again pop to remove an item from an index, and clear to remove all the items from the list. Then index, so this function will return the index of the item in the list with given value. So let's say if you want to find the index of a specific list item, you can just mention that list item in this brackets, and then you can use the index function along with the variable in which the list is stored. Then you have copy function, which copies the list to another variable. You have count function, which returns the number of elements with specified value. Like if you have multiple duplicate values in your list, and if you want to find out how many times it is repeated, you can use the count function. Then you have sort, which you'll be seeing now in the code, and then you also have reverse, which reverses the list. So let us go to Google Collaborating and check out the code for the last few methods. So now to sort a list, let's say we already have a list in L2. So print L2.sort. So our L2 has int and string both. So if you want to sort it, it should either be completely integer or completely string. So let us take a new list and let's say A will have B, then we can have small z, we'll have capital Z, and let's say C. So now if I print L3.sort, okay, it says none. I'll just take the print statement in the next command, in the next block, so it will be easy to understand. L3 and L3 dot sort. So we'll sort it first and then print the list. So after sorting, when we print it, like I mentioned in the presentation, the capital letters will be sorted first and then the small letters. So first we have Z, then we have A, B, C and Z. Even though this is lexically incorrect, this is based on the ASCII values, which is different for capital letters and small letters. So now if you want to sort it in case insensitive manner, then you can use the key as str.lower. Let's say key equals to str.lower, and now when I sort it, it is sorted properly just like you want it to be. We have A, B, C, then you have Z, and then again capital Z. So if you want to sort it in reverse manner, then you can write reverse equals to true. Now it will be sorted in reverse manner. Now again we defined the list, and when we are sorting, this is again case sensitive, so you can also write key equals to str.lower, and then if you print the list, it will print properly. So starting with small z, then Z, C, B and A. So it is printed in reverse order and in case insensitive manner. So that is how you sort a list, or sort it in ascending or descending and in case sensitive or insensitive manner. So to reverse a list, let's say we have L3 is this, the latest value of L3 is this. So if you want to reverse it, we can simply write L3 dot reverse, and then we can print it, print L3. So this will reverse the list, and it has been reversed now. A, B, C, then we have capital Z and small z. Now to join two lists, so we already have L2 and now I defined L3 over here, so I can simply write print L2 plus L3. So it has appended L3, which is this, to the first list, which was L2. So L2 is this much and then L3 has been appended. However, this has not yet been stored in any variable. If you want to store it in a variable, you can define a new variable, let's say L4 equals to L2 plus L3. In this case, now you're storing it in a new variable, so you can use it for various other functions or various methods, whatever you want to do. So this is how you can append. And then the other example is, other function is L2 dot extend L3. So this will edit L2. It will append the L3 list to the L2. So again the same output, because it's the same thing, we're just using different functions for it. And the final one, using for loop for x in. Okay, now if I use this now, right now the new value of L2 is this. So when I'm appending L3, these last elements will be repeated again, because if I print L2 now, this is being printed, this is our L2 now. So L2 dot append x. Now it is done, we can just print L2. So it will give us this, and then the last elements will be repeated. So just as expected, you can also use for loop and append each and every element individually. So that is it from this video. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.